Brian, I just let everybody know that we're going to start promptly at 12:50 to get everybody a chance to get in. If you need any breaks, this is a great time to take them.
Cool.
Before we hop in. All right, Brian, let's go ahead and get us kicked off with our warm welcome.
All right. Well, welcome again. I'm Brian Dino, instructional coach with DPS. And what I want you to think about for this session, this breakout session on AI and critical thinking, think about an upcoming lesson or content or subject area. Think about one that's upcoming that you want to center around our session today. And then also think about a lesson in the past where you would want to have increased critical thinking with your students. So think about that. And since we have more than we thought in this session, I want you to put it in the chat here. So on our slide here, let me just adjust our slide here. I'll give you some specific instructions. So there we go. So type in the chat. Sorry, Drea. I just, any chance you can refresh that slide? Oh, maybe not. Just type in the chat an upcoming lesson that you're thinking about for this. Also, if you could just let us know what grade you teach and subject you teach, that would be nice too. All I have access to are wonderful names. But yeah, type in the chat a lesson you're thinking about. Let us know what grade you teach and what subject you teach with that. Here we go. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Oh, teaching math, 7th grade math. Math. Got some math fans. Yeah. Thank you, Samantha. Linear relationships. Thank you all. Wow. We got a good cross section of teachers. Okay. English. Ah. Thank you, Albert. Where empires rise and fall. Right. Yay, STEM. Hello. Miss Lauren. Nice to see you. There's Jen. Right. Ecosystems. Right. Math intervention. Yeah. I know. I'm advocating. Oh. Hello, Miss Rao. Thank you all. Just shout out Miss Rao here, one of the few teachers I know who gets to, her kids get to use her published book. She's published a book and it's on Amazon, and her kids get to use their own book. Pretty cool. I think it's about the first governor in Colorado. Am I correct, Rhonda? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Wow, thanks, Tara. Yeah, STEM. Applying the engineering design process. Thank you for that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Ooh, medical detectives. Oh, wow. Right. Thank you all. I also mentioned that Drea is actually in person with about 10 folks at Lincoln High School. So they signed up for an AI session in person. So she's talking to 8 people in a room in person, and then the rest of you all are virtually along with me. So that's that dynamic going on. High school math. Yes. Thank you. Right, thank you for your thoughts here. Got some we got teachers from all sections: elementary, middle school, high school. And then we'll do a picture out here at the end of that room, and then we're gonna walk back to that main session, just like those house. All right, Drea, I think we can move on here. You want to move on, Drea? She's watching the timer. All right. We'll wait for her to finish with her in-person classroom here. I think she's sharing out in person there. All right, it's about 90 seconds here and we'll move on. Dre, ready to move on if you are, but I know you got, okay, so yeah, some good thoughts here. And again, I know you got some people in person there at Lincoln, Drea, sharing with you. Yep. All right.
So yeah, we're just gonna ground ourselves, as EJ said a little bit earlier. We try to root ourselves in our CRE mindsets. So this session specifically is going to be more focused on our high expectations and our self mindsets. And so whenever we go into areas where we really want you to hyper focus on those, you'll see the little icons on those slides and like that area of practice that you can be reflective about. We're all in different spaces in our CRE journeys and our AI learning journeys. So give yourself grace and space to process information the way that you need to. That being said, you're going to get the most out of it if you give the most into it. So we just ask that you engage fully and respectfully for what that looks like for you today in this moment in the afternoon. So just stay present, actively participate, and listen to others' perspectives, like balancing your speaking and listening. And just make sure that as we go into this, know that we're all in different paths and we have different expertise and different areas of comfortability with tech and AI and our contents. So we're all coming from spaces of problem solving and we have issues that we need to solve for. And so the most productive thing to do is to be solution oriented, reflective. How can we push past some of these hurdles that we're seeing in terms of getting our students to really push the boundaries of critical thinking? And then, of course, listen to your body. If you need to take breaks, take breaks. This is a long session, okay? So nobody's going to ask questions about why your camera is off or why you're not going to do this right now. So you need to give yourself space and grace, just like we're asking you to do for us. We are going to chug through a whole lot of content in the next hour and a half. And so what we're going to do is we're going to first ground ourselves in what AI is and how we can use it ethically and responsibly. And so we're going to ground in best practices. Reverse. We're going to start with grounding in critical thinking, actually, because that is what our session is about today. So we're going to hone in on what is critical thinking. We throw out a lot of buzzwords in education a lot of the times. So really center around that. And then how can we use critical thinking to, or how can we use AI to increase critical thinking throughout our lessons? We'll then introduce you to Magic School. Throughout this presentation, you're going to interact with tools through Magic Student. And so as you're interacting with these tools and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do this, don't worry, we're going to show you how to do it in that next section when we're introducing AI. And hopefully you have some time at the end to just like chug out some content plans, make some lesson plans, and get ready to rock and roll for your content when you come back next week. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to ground ourselves in critical thinking. And so within the slide deck, you will see that on slide 54, we have some hyperlinked resources in there for you. So I'm going to put on a timer. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to skim that resource. And all of these resources talk differently about what critical thinking is and what it can look like in the classroom. I'm only giving you 3 minutes. So I'm not expecting you to do some deep dive analysis into these articles. Just want you to skim over, look at some content, and see if anything new catches your eye or attention. So then after you do that, as you're going through these articles, I just want you to, in the chat, write down a specific behavior that you think exemplifies students thinking critically. So what would you see or hear or experience if you were to walk into a room and see students thinking critically? What would that look like according to your background knowledge and the resource that you skim? So we have 3 minutes to do that. If you're having any sort of issues accessing articles, I'm going to start dropping those in the chat now, but go forth and start skimming.
First,
This is our 15-second warning. Based off of what you skimmed or you read or you have just experienced, pulling in that level of personal background knowledge, go ahead and drop in the chat one specific behavior or strategy that exemplifies students critically thinking. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use a Magic Student tool. We're going to use an AI tool just to engage with what would be a pretend student engaged in some sort of critical thinking activity. And so what we want to do is we want to ask our chatbot questions that are going to better support our understanding of what critical thinking looks like. So this is your opportunity to have a conversation with a student who has so much knowledge and content on best practices and teaching and like what critical thinking looks like. You now get to pick their brain and they get to tell you about what they're thinking about in a way that you can understand. So we have some prompts if you need some help getting started. If you want to engage with this chatbot as another student, here's a couple of questions that you can ask. If you want to engage with the chatbot acting as a teacher, talking to a student, chatbot is the student, those are some questions. And if you want to have a conversation acting as an admin or a coach that's coming in and talking to the student, here are some questions to get you started. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to interact with this Magic Student tool that's linked in the slide deck. I'm also going to drop it in the chat, but you're just going to go ahead, enter your name in. And I'm going to access my critical thinking bot. From here, I can adjust the grade level depending on what I teach. So we're going to go with 7th grade. And then I can explain the activity that I had in mind. So maybe I want to use that activity from my warm welcome that I'm thinking about wanting to add critical thinking to. Maybe you want to review a lesson that you just did. Maybe you just want some ideas on other content. Maybe you don't care. You can leave it blank. The world is your oyster here. So 5 minutes to interact with that chatbot and really pick the chatbot's brain about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what it looks like for them to do that with peers or whatever else you're interested in. Have that flex conversation. So I'm going to put 2 minutes on or 5 minutes on our timer, and you can go play. Please feel free to drop questions in the chat or unmute at any time if you have questions, want me to walk through something. All righty. So step 3, now that you have done some interacting with your chatbot kiddo, what you're going to do is I just want you to reflect on that activity, discuss with your peers, and we're just going to like get a central idea of what critical thinking is and some of the things that we're looking for when it comes to critical thinking. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you into a Canva whiteboard. I am going to drop that link into the chat. And then in your Canva whiteboard, you will come to this page here. And then we can use this bottom tab here to zoom in and out. You can also just use your trackpad if that is easier for you. But what we're going to do is based off of the article you read, your background knowledge, and that conversation that you had with the chatbot, how might students demonstrate critical thinking in the classroom? I want an answer to that on one of these green sticky notes here. You can just pick a sticky note and start typing away. Once you're done with that one, answer the question, what teacher moves can help students engage in that critical thinking throughout the lesson? So the green is about our student-based learning. What are we seeing students doing? And our red, pink is about our teacher moves. What are you as the teacher going to be able to do? What skills and strategies can you implement to make sure that students are critically thinking? And then after that, in that yellow section, what I want you to do is just tell me about how you felt that chatbot impacted your thinking on this activity. So you're just going to grab a star. I don't care what star, what color, just grab one and place it on the line where you feel like this AI activity added impact. If it had positive impact, I want your star over here. So that would be like, it added to my understanding, or I saw things in a new perspective. If it had no impact, that means like, oh yeah, cool, it was great, but like I didn't really do anything for my understanding of critical thinking. And if it had a negative impact, using the AI bot made things more confusing. It muddled things for you. You have a less clear understanding of what the topic or assignment is now. So go ahead and do that. And then as you're going through, go ahead and just take some time to read other people's responses. If you're jiving with something, you can drag one of these stars over to the sticky note. You can also use elements over here, pop up some thumbs up, oh no's, warning signs, get creative. The world is your oyster. Now, if I'm saying all of this and you are having heart palpitations about getting into Canva, don't panic. You can go ahead and answer these questions here on the chat. So if you would like to, if using Canva is going to stress you out, I don't want that. We are just going to operate at our capacity right now. So if you just need to drop it in the chat, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to give us some space to navigate this whiteboard. Let's say 3 minutes for you to start your journey on that. You can just copy it. So you can, if you want to, like, you can grab a sticky. Of course.
Grab one.
Yep, you can do whatever you want.
It becomes yours, right?
And it's yours, yep.
What do you?
Your name should appear at the bottom of that sticky note when you start typing into it. Oh, someone paused my timer. Rude. I'm seeing lots of really awesome, cool ideas here on this whiteboard. And don't worry about things being messy. I will go through later and tidy it up a little bit so that it is easier to refer back to if you ever want to come back to these notes. What's the yellow one for? So navigating over to the yellow section here, selfishly is what I am most curious about. But a lot of the things that I'm reading here are my same feelings when I got started with AI. So first it was like, once you really start getting to understand how to use it, how to interact with it, and how to have a conversation piece with it, my first feeling was so much frustration that like it was chugging out all of these in like 3 seconds. And I was like, this used to take me weeks. But then it's excitement because now instead of spending weeks on that task, I can have this tool help me do this. So I can now use my time to increase creativity in my lessons, to offer more student scaffolds and supports. So that's our goal here, is to show you tools that increase your efficiency and also allow you to personalize this learning. So thank you for having us, helping us to ground in critical thinking. Just to like go off of our whiteboard here, I'm seeing a lot of stuff around making sure that like kids are doing the cognitive lift, sharing their thoughts, making sure that we are able to modify problems and identify relevant information. And then a lot of good strategies for teachers here. Cultural backgrounds and how that plays into understanding of things, helping with sentence stems and prompts. And yes, emphasizing to students that AI is a tool, just like Google is a tool and Word is a tool. AI and the AI platforms that we utilize are tools and are here to help us, again, increase our efficiency and start to create better, brighter ideas. So now, all that being said, we feel good? We feel good about critical thinking? Yeah? All right. Well, now Mr. Brian Dino, excuse me, is going to walk us through unpacking some best practices when we are ethically and safely using AI, especially with students.
All right. So thank you for your answers on the Canva whiteboard. If it's your first time using the Canva whiteboard, don't be discouraged. It's a little, could be a little complex at times and you can lose your way. So we've seen that with some of our sessions this year. So I say that because we're actually going to get you into another Canva whiteboard here for this next activity. And we want to understand when we're talking about AI, we got to talk about safety and ethics. And we want you to help us understand that. So how this is going to work is you're going to be automatically put into breakout rooms here. We have about 34 people in this large room. We're going to break you out into small groups here. And on this slide that you see right now, slide 57, here are the directions. So when you get into your breakout room, we want you to create examples, non-examples, and explain the significance of the best practice. And you're going to record your findings on that Canva whiteboard. You'll actually see it laid out on the Canva whiteboard. I don't know if you want to show that Canva whiteboard on the screen there, just so they can see the layout there, Drea. So this is where your group will put the findings from your jigsaw activities. So to be clear, your breakout room is just going to take one topic. So let's look at an example. How do we safeguard student data when we're talking about AI? Well, you're going to do a little reading about that, and then your group is going to write in an example of that, and then a non-example, then the significance, and here's the resources for that particular topic. So you'll put your breakout group, whoever wants to write, will put those into this section for your topic.
They can actually have it read out loud that translated text. So if it's a student is not strong.
Okay, are there questions on that? Dre, why don't you just scroll back to the left side again, just so you're going to pick, you're going to be, your breakout group will have one of these topics: a safeguard student data, critiquing AI bias, following age restrictions, how to mitigate harm with AI, how to report your tools on the ATM, and how to check for do we need to check for reliability with AI? I don't know. Do we? Does it know everything? So you'll have one topic for your breakout group, and then a writer will write on the Canva whiteboard here in those boxes the examples and the non-examples and the significance.
So I'm about to open up those breakout rooms. Our in-person people will take our last breakout room, so I will work with them here. Just like Brian said, you're gonna interact on that Canva whiteboard. I am seeing in the chat that some people are having difficulties accessing that Canva whiteboard. So what I'm asking to do is, once you get into your breakout groups, why don't we have just like one person go ahead and share their screen, navigate the Canva whiteboard, just to make sure that everybody's seeing and has access to some of these tools. If you also need additional support, you can pop back into the main room, and Brian should be there, or pop in back and forth between rooms to help you out too. Also know that you don't have to use the AI tools if you don't want to. They are there for your use. If you want to use them, go for it. If you don't, live your best life.
And one tip on using the Canva whiteboard that I always find helpful is that zoom button on the bottom, that little circle that you can drag. It's a slider button. So I use that a lot, especially for my older eyes, and I can really blow up the screen just to see what's written there.
Brian, you let me know when you are ready to start those whip arounds.
Think we're ready.
All righty.
A lot of good work. A lot of good work there on the Canva whiteboard. We're already building a lot of AI literacy here.
All right. So do you think, let's just go ahead and get started with group one and we'll move down from there. So your spokesperson, if you did not choose a spokesperson, I guess nose goes it right now. But all I want from your spokesperson is like your high leverage takeaway. So when you talk about, for example, safeguarding student data, what does it mean to safeguard student data? Why is it important? Those are the two big things that I want you to hit in this whip around. So let's go ahead and get started with safeguarding student data. We're just going to go through that line. So do I have a rep for safeguarding student data who would like to come off mic and share?
I can do it.
Mhm.
All right. So I think what we talked about was with AI, we have to be really, really careful about letting students access it, because if it's not approved by DPS and it's not in the approved technology bank, then it might cause a data breach or something. So the significance of following the policies and choosing stuff from the bank is that we keep students safe and we are complying with district policy and there's no data breach.
Thank you for that. Is it Simran? Is that how you pronounce your name? Simran? Am I saying that
Simran.
correctly? Simran, thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, and let me just add, I know we have a lot on our ATM, we have all of our approved apps, and a lot of folks have been very upset with that process because we narrowed down, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of tools down to a few more. But before we did that, there were numerous companies that said, "Oh, I need access to your Infinite Campus." And before COVID, some of those companies might have had that. And you know what's an Infinite Campus? Everything, right? Including behavioral data. So I know there are some districts around the country that are unknowingly giving companies access to students' behavioral data, including suspensions, etc. And so strangers have access to that information on students. And so that's one of the reasons we really have narrowed down the access to the student data. It's actually the law in Colorado, but how it's being enforced is another question. So very important consideration for AI.
So safeguarding student data, or sorry, critiquing AI bias. Can I get our spokesperson for critiquing AI bias? All righty. Well, for the sake of time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and summarize these.
Okay, they're fine. I was gonna go, but yeah, that's probably easier.
Oh, go. No, go.
So we just kind of talked about how it is biased, and we read the article and just discussed the main points. Was like a student created several responses and then combined them all together, added his own words, so that it's a little bit biased, and then just creating, having a human interaction, testing algorithms in real life, so it's not biased, like in a real situation, not just some collected data points that it learns from or something.
Yeah, awesome. Let me just add to that on the AI bias. We have a teenager, and yes, she buys a few things on Amazon, and now Amazon has AI summaries. And she noticed that of a lot of the things she looked at, she said, boy, all those AI summaries are very, very positive, Dad. And I said, I wonder why. Maybe does Amazon want you to buy those? I mean, so all the AI summaries that she looked at were just glowing. And I thought, I wonder if they're suppressing the negative things, or they figured out what you really want to buy and they made all the AI summaries just for you, very glowing. So just some of those wonderings. Their AI system is trained to get you to click purchase. So
Oh, yeah, that absolutely. That's what
yeah.
I think of. Absolutely.
All right, following age restrictions.
I can do that. So I was really just thinking about, and I know there's more dimensions to it that I haven't considered yet with AI, but I was just thinking about what we do with all of our technology, and that is just ensuring the appropriateness of all of the functions of the AI resource sites, and closely monitoring what they're doing. And for the, let's see, for significance, it's just being ethical when you add links or show some information from internet and every source. But I'm looking forward to hearing more about how AI plays into this.
Excellent, excellent. Follow age restrictions is probably one of our more straightforward ones. So follow the age restrictions. And mitigate harm. Hear from our harm mitigation.
I can share.
Beautiful.
We said that teaching students how to ensure that they're using safe tools and knowing that the answers are not objective, as well as to understand which stakeholders might benefit from the certain biases in technology. Another one was just obviously your digital footprint, which kind of piggybacks on to what we were just talking about with Amazon. Like, and I just took a direct quote from the article. While students are using social media tools to connect with their friends, AI algorithms are silently collecting data on their profiles that they view, the ads they watch, the links they click, as well as the amount of time that they spend and use a particular app. And then also just making our students aware that AI technologies are being used to generate voices, images, faking videos, and even fake news.
After lunch.
Oh, sorry, I moved it.
All right. Hang in there. We're gonna go through one more tool.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has seen some of the preliminary digitally produced videos. Meta just unveiled a video production tool a couple weeks ago. A lot of this is under wraps because if and when the bad actors get a hold of it, they could create realistic video that could be indecipherable from fake and real video could be indecipherable. So that is a concern. If you have a chance, just some of the major news sites have shown just samples of that, of digitally created video, and how easy and quick it was to generate movie scenes with the couple clicks of a button. It's it's amazing, but it's also scary.
Well, and I even think like in Canva, I don't remember what the tool is, but my students love it, where
Yep.
you can like insert certain words and then it creates an image, and like
Yep.
knowing that that's not an actual image.
Yep. You're correct.
It's a way for students to see other students.
There's Trey's gonna, yep, there's,
So it's a nice, little less.
All right, how about our ATM team?
Or that's Are there
We felt like ours was pretty straightforward too. We mentioned that examples would be submitting new tools for approval and using tools that you already know are vetted. Non-examples would include just doing whatever you want, either not looking at the ATM at all or seeing that something's not approved and using it anyway. And we just kind of talked about the risk of exposing student data on the internet. If I'm trying to use an AI tool to build a seating chart and I'm telling the seating chart tool that this student has an IEP for this and that student has frequent restroom needs and this other student, has other needs. If I'm using a tool that is wide open and my student data is non-anonymized, then all of that data can be compromised in the same way, Brian, you talked about IC being harvested.
people supported that?
Well, and then lastly, our in-person group, we had a check for reliability. And so the big talking point that this crew had was just the significance of making sure that you are consistently centering yourself as the educator to evaluate that trustworthiness and that relevancy in terms of if you're using that content or not, is just to avoid the spreading of misinformation, whether intentional or non-intentional. And so us being able to look at things through a critical lens, one, to make sure that we're giving out the information that we want to give out in the way that we need to give it out. And that, again, we're not like reaffirming those misconceptions with students. And so then all that being said,
Just some kind of
when we talk about, sorry.
It does allow you to walk down certain elements and show
So,
how this works.
Brian, will you mute for a hot second?
Graphic
Just picking up
organizers.
Peter in the background. Beautiful, thank you. So that being said, we offer 2 fully supported DPS AI applications that check all of these buckets. But we know that as we are continuing to use these approved, audited tools, we are going to make sure that we are centering ourselves as educators. We are always looking at it through a critical lens. So just so that you know, Magic School is what we're going to be in today. It is more of our text audio-based AI tools. Canva is our multimedia generator for AI use specifically. So if you're looking to make a picture presentation, anything like that, video, Canva is our go-to. Anything that's like help with co-planning or like really that thought partner, that's going to be Magic School. And so then, yeah, Brian.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about building some AI literacy. Dre, let me know what that background. Where I'm down here at Tacoma, and there's actually the breakout session is across the hall here, but if that gets too noisy, I can move. So we're already building our AI literacy, and take 30 seconds to look at this quote here from one of our favorite sources on AI, the AI Classroom, Holly Clark. Take 30 seconds to read this. Okay, so Holly, trying to reinforce that we don't need to create a new digital divide, that schools have to find a way to ethically teach students AI literacy skills. We see a lot of that right now, I think, just with media literacy being taught in some of our classrooms. Where do kids get their information and how do they know it's reliable? So when we're talking about AI literacy, there's really 4 elements of that. One, know and understand it. What is it? Who created it? there's right now, if you follow businesses, some people would say it's the new gold rush. So there's close to 60 to 70 billion dollars that are being dedicated to this AI enterprise. The other piece of that is evaluating and creating AI. Certainly evaluation portion is really big right now. Again, is it accurate? Is it creating reliable content? Then the AI ethics. Again, we just talked about Canva. And I was in a middle school art teacher's classroom last week, and she was furious at Canva. She's like, my kids will not use that. They need to, makes it so easy for them to become an artist. No, they will, they need to learn to be an artist first. And then when they're older, they can, with a quick typing, they can compare the AI art with their human created art. And then again, how to use and apply it. There are seeing very good uses. We're going to show you some of that when we get into Magic School. But how to maybe apply it to your practice. So those are the 4 AI literacies. And again, where we're at with our kids. I mean, our kids right now who are starting either college or their career or both, they were born at the turn of the century. And then our kindergartners right now, they're going to be, they'll be in 2085, boy, they'll be retiring in 60 years. So who knows what it's going to look like then. But it's going to impact everybody in various degrees. And I'm sure our high school folks in the crowd are probably seeing more impact of AI in their work, just because that's where I think the applicability or the misuse of AI is being seen right now. Maybe not necessarily in the K-5 space. So that's our timeline. So here's a question. Plagiarism and cheating. Let me just ask this to the group, and you could put this in the chat or you can come off line, but do you address academic integrity in your classroom? How do you address that right now? And again, I know we've got all sorts of teachers in the space here, but how do you address that? Do you specifically call it out? I was at a middle K-8 yesterday, and one of the 7th grade English arts teachers specifically tells her kids that she uses plagiarism detectors, so she expects original work. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, and I think Elizabeth, yeah, so you're at the 6 through 12 level. Yeah, Albert, thank you for that. Yeah, don't allow them to use their computers. Yeah, so you get original work. So this is again mainly in the 6 through 12 space, and certainly in the college space. It needs to be addressed, because in our when we're creating original work, it can be challenging to police this. Yeah, thank you for that, Elizabeth. Let's look at this next slide on plagiarism detectors. Let's look at this next slide, Drea, on plagiarism detectors. She's addressing the live people in the room. So on plagiarism detectors, one note, they could be very problematic. And I'm actually on slide 64, which will come up in a moment. And plagiarism detectors, there's been a lot of research on them. And I'll just tell you that the folks who are flagged mostly or often are non-native English students. A lot of their work comes up as false positives. So, Dre, if you want to bring up that slide on AI detectors. And really, AI detection has to be navigated with care, really on a case-by-case basis. Again, yesterday, this teacher shared that she used a detector with the student, and it was 1 for 1. Almost everything he wrote was found in the AI detection tool she used, and she confronted the kid, and he admitted that, yeah, he used it all copied it all from website. That was pretty cut and dried. I'll tell you though, at our teenager, who's a college student, Turnitin flagged her work, and the professor had a challenge with her. But she's an English major, and she used the history feature in Google Docs and was able to prove that step by step how she revised her work. So using AI detectors, just proceed at your really on a case by case basis, but know that they do generate a lot of false positives. Yeah, here's that slide. So, and again, these are so new. Some higher institutions have banned them, others use them. It's really up to the teacher. I think the next slide shows us the rate here. And you can see how accurate are plagiarism detectors. The most accurate appears to be Turnitin, but still you have about 20% inaccuracy there. And that's what I referenced in relation to my daughters. But if you have to do a lot of grading, they can be helpful at least to skim. And if you don't have a chance to know your kids, then it could be a good first cut to see, well, here's the ones I need to focus on. So just know that. Anybody had the experience with plagiarism detectors they want to come off and just chat about or put in the chat? No, good question, Tara. They're not in the ATM, so we haven't it's a good question. I didn't put that
I
teacher
got
on
it,
the spot.
Brian.
I didn't put that teacher on the spot yesterday that I talked about. So good question. I didn't ask her. She actually was using ChatGPT's plagiarism detector. I forget the name of it. And maybe she used it on her personal one because she thought this child, this student of hers, this is not his writing and I want to be able to prove it. But yeah, I don't, they're not on the ATM yet. And we have a lot in review, so there might be some currently being reviewed.
Well, and just to piggyback, there are some tools that are both originality checkers and AI detectors. So there are some that will be approved on the ATM to use. It's just your personal stance on using them and how you use them. So like, again, using them as a conversation piece to address the root of why the student was using AI and how they were using it and how that impacted their work is going to be super effective. Brian, just for the sake of time, we got about 30 minutes left in our session.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
if we want to just go ahead and hop on to getting into Magic School.
Yeah, let's do that. Yep.
Cool. Okay, so at this time, we're going to kind of split into 2 different teams. And so if you would like to, if you're new to Magic School, Magic Student, you're going to hang out with Brian, and he's going to just like walk you through at a pace that makes sense for you being new to Magic School. If you've already jumped into Magic School before, or you have some sort of like understanding of AI, you've utilized AI in some context before, and you're kind of ready for some next steps, or like really focusing on using that with students, you can hop in. I'm about to put a link in the chat. So if you want to hop over to that link, that'll be our like intermediate advanced. We'll move a little bit quicker through the Magic School section and dive into some of those tools.
So again, if they're novices or new to magic school, they're just going to stay in this room. And if they want if they've seen it before or a little more advanced, they're going to go to your breakout room, correct?
And my access to this is a little different as a central office person than it is. So I think that might be considered.
Are we getting the link for the breakout group? or-
Again, I was trying to scrap this. You don't need to start with something.
Here we go. Thank you, Miss Drea. So that's the breakout room for intermediate or advanced magic school users. Drea, do I have there we go. All right. Okay, Magic School 101. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so Magic School. This is our approved tool this year for AI. What is it? It's got 60 plus tools. So first of all, do not be overwhelmed. All right. Most people are like, wow, there's so much here. So they have a lot, and you don't need to, in a moment, we're going to let you play with just discover one or two things that might be useful to you, but don't, it can be overwhelming for a lot of first time users. They're all AI powered. Dre gave you a little taste of it earlier with that chat bot. Here's just some categories for AI, for instructional materials. I helped a tech teacher the other day. She needed a rubric for grading her Canva presentations. So she quickly used the rubric generator for that. Sentence starters. If you need to differentiate your material, it can help you do that. If you communicate with families, they have newsletters. They have how to improve your writing for the public, and then also generating academic content. So there's just some case studies right there for teachers. Again, best practices. Your curriculum that you have dictates is paramount. So we're not replacing your curriculum. Your school and the district have spent a lot of money on this curriculum. So if they already have lesson plans and pacing guides and all that, that dictates. But some of these tools might help you massage that material, so to speak. So I think I'm going to skip this demo in the interest of time. If you want on your own, you can click on that link and be a student in a chat room there. So if you want to see what it looks like from a student perspective, how to chat with somebody from Harry Potter, there's a link right there, and you can be a student in that room. But I'm not sure we have time. We're going to skip that right now, but that's for you to be a student. So let's get started with Magic School. Open a new tab and just go into, you could either scan that app there, but it's kind of tough. Just go to magicschool.ai. And let me, I'm going to put the link on this slide here. And once you get there, you're going to sign in with Google. Okay, so visit that link, app.magicschool.edu. Just click on that link and you're going to sign in with your Google account.
The link.
And right now we have a license for all teachers in the district for Magic School. Okay, if I'm watching the chat also, so if you have difficulties, you can just pop it into the chat. When you get into Magic School, you can sign in with your DPS Google account. Here's just some things about the platform. You could search for tools. You could look at them per category. You could just search by category. You could star them so they'll show up in your toolbar, or you can just scroll through the list. Again, I did this yesterday for new folks. It's overwhelming, but this is just to get you introduced to it. Here's what I want you to do. Whenever you find a tool, you're like, well, what would I use this tool for? Click on the exemplar for that tool. So Magic School has a good example called an exemplar for every tool. If you can still see my screen, I show it there. You'll see the exemplar. And they'll have an example of how it works, of what you put into the tool and what it might put out. So those are very helpful. So use the exemplars. In fact, I'm going to just share my screen here. And I'm going to present my Magic School. So here's my Magic School dashboard. I've starred 3 tools, science labs, standards unpacker, and YouTube video questions. So those 3 that I've been using recently with teachers. And let's say the YouTube video questions, I'm going to click on that. Here's that tool. I'm like, well, what is this? Click on that exemplar. And it shows you, the Great Depression and its causes. So it created a quiz based on this YouTube video. And it did it for me automatically, and it referenced where it found, at what point in the video where it found the content. Okay, so use that exemplar. Every tool will have one. Okay, so explore, find something. I'm going to give you a few minutes here to choose a tool and play with it. And then I'm going to show you how to modify a few other features of Magic School. If you have questions, you can just put them in the chat, or you can just come off mute, whatever works for you. Yeah, thanks, Albert. The tool I just used, in fact, I'll share my screen again.
There's one thing I'd like to encourage too. I know this is always hard for me.
Here's my screen. I used the YouTube video questions. So I had to support a teacher doing a robotics lesson yesterday, and we wanted to give them a quiz on a robotics course. And there's this great professional video on the robotics course, but she wanted to grade them, and so they understood the course. So I'm like, I don't have time to, I could take the time, but so I just used the YouTube video. Let's see a formal name here. It's a YouTube video questions tool. So I clicked on it, and I'm just going to demo this for you. These were for 6th graders. We wanted a multiple choice questions. We wanted 5 of them, and I had to plug in the video. And the video was show you the video. So here's the video. Show. right here's the video. So this is this robot course these kids will be competing
2024.
on.
Two-
And I took the link for that video.
Of the
Let me
balls
just
begin
take
the matches.
link. And I'm going to grab the link for that video. And in my tool, it says, where's the YouTube video? Well, the YouTube video is right here. There's my link. And watch when I hit generate. Albert, here's your, hopefully this helps you right there. So it generated questions for the students right here based on that video. So now it saved me some time here. So here's questions based on that video. And here, I want to share this with the kids. This is my answer key. And I like this. It saved me from the exact point. So if the kid says, well, how do you know, mister, that the answer to 5 is that, and go right to that. So this is the quiz. So that's one of their tools that they used. TechSmith, so I can use, yeah, cool. Does it integrate with Google Classroom? No. So good questions here. So when you get output, so like on my output here, let me go back to my output. The output right now, you have to copy and put it into whatever form you want to use it. There is an export feature, but it doesn't export to our Google Drive right now, just because we're waiting on Magic School and Google to come to an agreement. So any content you generate, just copy it and put it into a Google Doc or a Google form or however you want to use it. But there is the export feature is not working right now directly into Google Drive. So, but they are working on that. Okay, hopefully that helped you, Albert. It does, if you find some great, I mean, there's great content on YouTube, and there's also YouTube, but yeah, it's a great quiz generator. Yeah, especially kids who just, you know, want to skip through that video. But yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah, Rhonda, you're right. We don't. So that's a big sticking point right now. So on my screen here, what folks are talking about in the chat. So here's my output. So here's my quiz I just got for my kids. And unfortunately, when I go to export, none of this is going to work. I could probably print it, but I'm going to get an error when I export to anything Google. You know, so because right now they're working on that agreement. If you really want to know, Google shares everything. Google takes everything we do and they monetize it. Magic School is being very conservative and saying, we don't want you taking this data and selling it. So they got, they're at odds on that. So use your copy feature here on my screen. I'm going to copy. It just copied it, and you can put it into Schoology, Google Doc, however you want to. So it's not as clean as we would want right now, but that's where we're at with that. A few other things about Magic School, because we're about ready to go back to the main room, and I'm sorry, we kind of running out of time, but at least you know how to get into it. Let me just show you one other thing here. On my Magic School, I love Raina. Raina is the chat bot. So if you want to ask anything education-wise to Raina, use this. So like I had a tech teacher, she wanted some challenging projects for her 7th and 8th grade using Canva. Give me projects for 7th and 8th graders using Canva. I'm just going to ask Raina. Raina's just a chat bot. It uses Chat GPT, and boom, there we go. So our kids were being, her middle schoolers needed some more complex projects, and there's a whole list of them that are generated. So if you don't use anything, any of the tools I just showed you, that's fine. But if you have a question, use Raina, the chat bot. You can see Raina gives you some other examples here, but I'm teaching science. Do you have any hands-on science projects for teaching force and motion? All right, let's see what Raina says. Okay, balloon rocket, marble roller, egg drop. Okay, so ask that. Hi, Maria, good question. Again, this is just for you, for teachers, Magic School. And in the slide deck, which we didn't get a chance to cover, we were going to cover how you would get your kids into a Magic School room. Let me just cover that before, show you where that's at in the slide deck, so you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my slides. And okay, so we just talked about Raina. It's really, again, just a chat bot to help you with anything and everything. We're going to run out of time here to show you how to do Magic Student. But in the slides here, there's 5 steps you can do to share your tool with the students. And I'm just going to quickly gloss over those. The steps are here, Magic School for students. So there's 2 parts to Magic School. There's Magic School, which is for teachers, and there's Magic Student, which are the tools you can use with your students. And this section of the slide deck will show you the steps to get the content to your students. So I'm just going to quickly gloss over these. So Magic School for Students has over 50 tools. Here's the steps you want to do if you want to use a tool with your students. And if you just follow these 5 steps, it will get you there. So on this slide here on 95, it shows you where to click. Make sure you click on Magic Student. And then let's say here's a tool, Sentence Starters. You would use that, select that tool, make sure you're a Magic Student, and then you click on Launch to Students. That's shown on the screen there. And then you launch a room. You're launching a virtual room with that tool. And you fill out that form there to set the grade level, name your room, and then you would select the tool. And this summarizes all of them right there. Once you launch it, then the students can get into that room by any of the join links that it will generate. And I'm sorry, we kind of just glossed over this, but we ran out of time. But your kids will actually get into Magic School only by the link that you give them to the room. So that's shown here on this slide. Once you generate a room for them with those steps, and then I would just try this out with, on your own. Once you have that link, open a new window, go into that room yourself as a student and see how it looks. So that's how kids, your students are able to use one of the tools that you want to use with them. Say it's a research tool. So in this example on our slides, a teacher has set up 6 tools for them to use: a chatbot builder, a research assistant, a tutor, Raina, a song generator, and her students can use any of these tools as long as they have a link to that room. And just one last thing, anything you share with students, you have access to everything they do inside Magic School. So on this slide here, you would see everything they see. So however they're interacting with that, say, chatbot, you would see what they're asking, what the chatbot is saying to them. So that's why we picked Magic School. You're not just sending them to a website and say, ask what you want. And if it sends back inappropriate stuff, you see everything here. Okay, we're actually out of time here. So we're going to go back to, because we're going to wrap up. So we're just a few minutes over. So we're going to go back to the main room that everybody started at 12:40. I'm going to put that in the chat. And let's go to that main room right now. And we're just going to wrap up here. Okay, so there's the link in the chat. We're going to go back to the main room. I'm going to close this in just a moment, but we're going to join the other folks who are in the main room. Again, here's the link for our main room, and I will see you there.